Waldameer Park. Join us for part 2, on the history of Waldameer, tonight, on Project Algerine. Throughout the 1950s and early 60s, Waldameer kept building up slowly, adding smaller attractions every couple of years. One such attraction was Monkey Island. This is about as close as Waldameer ever became to adding a zoo. Park guests could relax and watch the monkeys frolic and play. It was a popular attraction for many years. After closing, a rumor started that a division of the United States Air Force, prior to becoming NASA, acquired the monkeys for use in the space program. However, our researchers could find no evidence to support that theory. Today, the location where Monkey Island once stood, is now home to the Skyride station. By 1965 the park was well established, and a staple of the Erie community. But another dark day loomed ahead. On Saturday, January 30, 1965, news reports that Alex Moeller, the owner of Waldameer Park, has passed away. The park would continue to operate under the management of Paul Nelson, who had been working at the park since he was a small boy of 11 years old. But as the 1960s came to an end, nobody knew what the future held. "1970 had arrived, and Nelson wanted to add a new fun house to the park, since the previous one, called Fun in the Dark, was sold to raise funding for the Comet roller coaster. He brought in Bill Tracy, from Cape May, New Jersey, to complete the TAS. Tracy's multi-story dark ride seemed more like a mashup of Dr. Seuss and Scooby-Doo, rather than your typical amusement park funhouse. The Wacky Shack, which opened the season of 1970, is a Bill Tracy masterpiece. The facade of this structure tops out at a staggering 5 stories. However, only 2 stories are used for the inside of the ride. Riders sit side by side and begin their journey through several rooms before exiting the building on the second floor, down the ramp, and back into the building on the other side. Once you're back in the building, you transverse through several other rooms, each room more exciting than the next, before exiting again on the lower level. Bill Tracy made a couple of other Wacky Shacks after the one at Waldameer, like this abandoned shack in Wichita, Kansas, but none had the charm of the original. With the massive success of the Wacky Shack, Nelson had dark ride developer Bill Tracy return for the 1972 season. This time supplying Waldameer with a walk-through funhouse called the Pirates Cove. The Pirates Cove is another classic walk-through attraction. The facade of this building is incredible and instantly recognizable. Guests on this ride encounter 17 disorienting stunts and rooms, designed in typical Bill Tracy fashion. Much like the Wacky Shack, the Pirates Cove ride was available to other amusement parks at the time, like this one, at Trimper's Rides, located in Ocean City, Maryland. Out of the 8 Bill Tracy dark rides remaining, Waldameer is very fortunate to have 2. It's no doubt that these 2 dark rides helped carry Waldameer through the 70s and into the 80s. By 1988, Paul Nelson had gone from park manager to park owner and made what would be his biggest gamble to date. Nelson's plan was to auction the park's original carousel animals and invest those proceeds into its fledgling water park. Waterworld opened 2 years earlier. The water park was only outfitted with a couple slides at the time it opened. Now with capital, Nelson was able to expand the water park considerably over the next 2 decades. The water park now has over 20 water slides, a lazy river, and has one of the largest wave pools on the east coast of the United States. The gamble paid off, and the water park is still expanding today. But Nelson's most ambitious challenge was still to come. "1994 saw the addition of the giant Ferris wheel. This massive wheel is over 100 feet high, affording its riders spectacular views of Lake Erie. With the Ferris wheel complete, Nelson could focus on the next challenge. After a decade of delays, lawsuits, and permitting issues, Nelson announced in 2007 that the Gravity Group would begin construction on the Ravine Flyer 2 roller coaster. Following much of the same path as the original Ravine Flyer, the Ravine Flyer 2 would also cross Peninsula Drive, which today is now a 4-lane highway. This roller coaster is an engineering marvel. By utilizing its environment to its advantage, it's able to add additional height to the coaster's all-important first hill. Riders bask in the breathtaking views of Lake Erie for a split second, before plunging 120 feet into the ravine. You're immediately thrust across a 4-lane highway to the other side, around another curve and down another hill, before crossing the same 4-lane stretch of roadway. Once back on the other side, the coaster becomes a dizzying blur of tunnels, bunny hills, and 90-degree turns. This is what makes the Ravine Flyer 2 coaster such a success. The look on the rider's face when they exit the ride says it all. This coaster means business. The Ravine Flyer 2 made Waldameer a true destination park. Visitors now come from all over the world to ride this amazing roller coaster, along with the park's water slides and other fun attractions. Today, the park offers over 100 attractions and 17 different concession stands. There seems to be something for everyone at Waldameer. In 2015, a large piece of property was purchased by the park to secure space for future expansion. I wonder what the next 125 years will be like. You've been watching Waldameer Park on Project Algerine.